Gentleman in the white shirt, please.
You've spoken a lot about the benefits of trade and investment. In your meetings with, in your bilateral meetings this week with Singapore and India and Japan, did you make any tangible progress on trade agreements with those respective countries? And in a related question, aren't you being unrealistic to expect that expanded trade is going to be a panacea for Europe's deep-seated economic problems, particularly since, with regard to the EU-Japan agreement, you don't know yet what sectors are all going to be on the table?
First of all, indeed, in the bilateral talks we had with the leaders of Japan and Singapore and others, we have addressed the issues of trade, and we have given an impulse either to conclude the negotiations, like the case of Singapore, or the finalization of the preparation of negotiations, like it is the case with Japan. Regarding Japan, as you know, the European Commission presented to the member states a proposal for a mandate for negotiations. I hope to receive it very soon. Indeed, in the last European Council, the summit, the European summit, there was a strong statement regarding this common interest. We are also pursuing with other countries FTAs, very ambitious FTAs. They are a new generation of FTAs, following a little bit as the benchmark, the agreement we had concluded with Korea. And we believe this is extremely important, not only for us, but for Asian partners. Indeed, we are the biggest market for Asian products by far. So part of the growth in Asia is also a result of the open market in Europe, because we are the most important destination for Asian products. Having said this, we don't see trade as a panacea, but certainly we see trade as a very important driver for growth in Europe and in Asia, and indeed in the rest of the world. And that was a very important message around the table. And in fact, the conclusions reflect that. A strong rejection of protectionism and the importance that trade can have for strong, sustainable growth. And this is why we are pursuing this agenda that we believe is mutually beneficial, and I hope that we'll achieve some concrete progress with many of our partners in a relatively brief delay. These negotiations are complex. In fact, we would have preferred to have a Doha trade negotiations concluded before. It was not possible, not because of the opinion, as you know, but since it was not possible, while we are pursuing what we can achieve in the WTO track, namely trade facilitation, we are now having a very ambitious agenda of FTAs with many partners, and Asia is certainly an important priority for the European Union. And I think the contribution for growth that it can give in both continents is certainly very important.
I'm sorry, but I've heard you and others mention protectionism several times. Is there something specific that you're thinking of? I mean, what is this threat of protectionism? Are there any particular trade barriers that you're pointing to or worried about?
For instance, there are many forms of protectionism. Sometimes there are not only tariff barriers that we'd like either to eliminate or to lower, but there are also non-tariff barriers, and that's precisely one of the issues that we have been discussing in the so-called new generation FTAs, but also there are some kinds of investment protectionism. And our point, from a European Union point of view, is to try to eliminate some of these barriers, to have as much as possible a level playing field. And this discussion, as you know, has been taking place not only in this forum. For instance, in the last G20 in Los Cabos, there was a commitment to resist to protectionist tendencies, and I believe that so far the global economy has resisted, even if there are here and there some trends of protectionism, that I believe it is in our interest to overcome them. It's very important for all of us to avoid, namely when there are problems in terms of financial or economic crisis, to avoid what could be a temptation is for different countries to become more inward-looking. The European Union is certainly on the side of those who want more open trade. We believe this is the way forward, and we were quite happy with overall discussions about the trade and also what is reflected in the very substantive conclusions that you can consult further if you wish.
Thank you, Excellency. Now the second question will be raised by Lao media. A lady from the white blouse, please.